Well, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. It's good to be with you today. I hope that you feel honored and celebrated already. And I hope that you're getting a chance to celebrate all the dads and the men in your life. And if you don't know where to start, hopefully you can just start with the people who you're gathered with right now, honoring and celebrating them. We're not only doing that for our earthly dads, today as a church family, we gather to our Father. I just want to speak briefly about that, tell you a couple of quick stories before we too pray and press into our Father together. I remember one day I was driving to work in Gordon and I was praying while I was driving, because how many people know sometimes the only time you get to yourself in the day is your commute? Well, as I was praying, I was driving up Mona Vale Road and I looked out the window and caught a glimpse of the ocean. And I remember saying, God, thank you so much for the beauty of your creation. And I felt him cut across my prayers and say, you're not even stopping to enjoy it. I was like, God, was that you? Did you just interrupt me? Was that you? And I felt him say, you're not even stopping to enjoy it. I want you to go surfing tomorrow morning. This is a true story. This is honestly what I felt God say. And you know, how many people know that, you know, sometimes in life, God asks you to do something that's really difficult. Well, this was not one of those times. I just set my alarm a few minutes earlier the next day, went out for a surf, had a good time. And I remember reflecting on that moment with God the day before while I was sitting on my board between waves and saying, hey, God, why did you ask me to do that? Why have you asked me to come surfing? And I felt him say, because you weren't stopping to enjoy the thing that you were giving me thanks for. I want you to renew your passion. Your prayer life has become cold and mechanical and empty. You're just going through the motions with me. I don't want that. I don't want you just to go through the motions with me. Perhaps you feel like sometimes that's how your prayer life feels. You're just going through the motions with God. Well, maybe that's also how the disciples felt when they asked Jesus, Jesus, would you teach us how to pray? Maybe they looked at his prayer life and thought, wow, he's got such intimacy when he gathers to God. He's got such intimacy when he withdraws and spends long periods of time with him. And he does that regularly. We'd love to have that sort of prayer life. Jesus, can you teach us how to pray? It feels like it's become cold, mechanical, void of emotion. It just feels like we're going through the motions. Can you teach us how to pray? And maybe that's what happened. And Jesus says, of course I can. The first thing he says is, he paints this contrast between how religious people pray and how he wants his followers to pray. He says, hey, don't be like religious people who think that they're going to be heard because of their many words. They pray for an audience and they pray long and complicated prayers. But I don't want you to be like that. I want you to pray sincere, heartfelt, earnest, personal prayers. That's what it should be like. Don't be like religious. If you want to know how to pray, don't be like religious people who think they're going to impress God because of their big words. If you want to know how to pray, this is how you should pray. Our Father. That's who we come to. Our Father in heaven. Hallowed be your name. Father, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Father, would you please give us today our daily bread? Please forgive us our debts as we've forgiven our debtors. And Father, please don't lead us into temptation, but rather deliver us from the evil one. Jesus says, if you want to know how to pray, that's how you should pray. But I know sometimes we get so paralyzed in prayer. Maybe you can relate to that. I feel like that sometimes too. I think the reason we get so paralyzed is because we become focused on the wrong thing. I think it's because we become focused on prayer itself, how to say, what to say, when to say it, what it should look like. But actually, we shouldn't be focusing on prayer itself. Let me show you what I mean by that. We had some people over for a meal a little while back, and we were playing darts on my balcony. And I remember reflecting on that game of darts a little bit later on and thinking prayer is a bit like that, actually. Sometimes we become paralyzed, I think, in prayer because we're focusing on prayer itself. But when you're playing darts, you don't focus on the dart. You focus on the destination of the dart. You focus on where the dart is headed. You focus on its goal. You focus on the target. I think in prayer, we shouldn't be focusing on prayer. Otherwise, we'll just get cross-eyed. We should be focusing on the destination of our prayers, which is our Father. I feel like that will significantly change the way we pray if we focus on our Father. So what's our Father like? He's generous. He's kind. He's strong. He's powerful. He's a provider. He's a protector. He's a healer. He's a wonderful, wonderful dad. He's not angry. Actually, he's kind. He's not distant. He's very near to us. He's not negligent. He's involved in the life of his kids. And I'm convinced the more you get to know God as Father, the more it will shape your prayer life. The way that we come to God, it forms the basis for our prayer. And so when the disciples asked Jesus, hey, Jesus, would you teach me how to pray? Would you teach us how to pray? He says, don't be like religious people who think they're going to be heard because of their big, many words. If you want to know how to pray, look to a child and how they come to their father, how they come to a loving dad. That's how you should pray.